Hey everybody, Kyle Sasser here, and this is Business Builders Live on hosting from my lovely home studio. Still on, not really lockdown, but definitely staying home here in St. Petersburg. It's currently 9:58, so we have a couple minutes before 10 o'clock when we get started. And I'm going to flip this over so we can get ready for the presentation here, just to give you little something interesting, a little more interesting to look at than just me bright in front and center. So I have a little challenge for y'all today. And basically I was wondering if you could tell me one headache that you're trying to solve in the next 30 days. This is actually going to be the topic of today's presentation. Because basically I had a friend slash client of mine reach out to me and asked me to help him out in his business. So I'm going to go over one of the things that I did to help solve some problems in his business. But especially since we're at home, a lot with some free time, probably, let's be honest, we have some time to think about and try to solve some of these things that are recurring problems and headaches in our business to make things run a little bit more efficiently so that we can gain that competitive advantage, make more sales, and in the end, build our business. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? So we're going to get started here in just a few minutes. So if you could, whenever you pop in, just if you can hear me okay, if you could just say, I can hear you, just drop me a comment down there below just so I know that everything's going okay. Hope that y'all are doing well. And, taking opportunity of this kind of quiet period economically to, to help build and strengthen your business. All right, so we are at 10 o'clock, so and just got a notification from my my text message reminder to start the webinar here, and here we are. So let's get started. So this is Business Builders Live. Switch that over so I can actually hit these slides. There we go. So thank you so much for tuning in. This is BizTweaks Business Builders Live, currently happening every Thursday at 10 a.m. If you have a time that would work a little bit better for you, just comment that time below. I used to do these in the evening for in-person meetings, but I thought I would try in the morning here so I could try to get people during normal business hours. Maybe they could take a little time and watch this video. So who am I? My name is Kyle Sasser. I am a realtor in Keller Williams, St. Petersburg. I also host a show called Great Things Tampa Bay, a podcast and YouTube channel about all the great things, great places, and great eats in the Tampa Bay area. And I also host this channel, which is BizTweaks. And BizTweaks' primary purpose is to help build better small businesses. And one of the core tenets of mine, I started a few businesses. Probably 3 or 4 at this point. And the one thing I found in every one of those businesses is that no small business faces a novel problem. Small businesses are not building rocket ships to send to the moon. We're not trying to cure, cancer or something like that. That's not really what small businesses are tailored for. Most small businesses face the same sort of questions over and over and over again, which is, how do I make more sales? How do I make sure that my marketing is actually having an impact? How do I find more time to get done the things that I want to get done? Either so you can make more sales, or maybe you just want to carve off some time to keep the same level of your business, but maybe spend a little bit more time with family. How do you do taxes? How do you manage your accounting? Like, these are the same small business questions over and over and over again. And BizTweaks, what I try to do here is I try to help you solve those problems. Because these problems have already been solved. Like, there's no mystery in how to solve them. Someone just needs to, lend you a helping hand and show you some ways that has been solved before. So it's kind of, just consider me like your buddy or friend or other business owner that you know, and you reach out to them. You're like, hey, I'm having this problem with X, Y, and Z. And then that friend goes, oh, well, this is how I solved that problem. So, but you can reach out to me at any time with those questions. So this channel is also about helping each other. And I do host an in-person version of this meeting. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, that is currently on hold. But one of the core things I do with that is having that group of people, not just me up there giving a talk, because nobody likes being lectured to all the time. But I really like to set up what's called a mastermind, which is where peers and other business owners and professionals get together, and then someone stands up with the problem they're currently having, and then everyone else comes back with how they would actually solve that problem. My 3 core tenets: I believe that efficiency is of the utmost importance, and by focusing and making your business more efficient, that's going to result in less stress for you and more money in the bank and a much smoother running operation. I also believe in constant improvement. There is basically no part of your business that could not be improved, including your ability as a business owner or professional. And then third is people, because without keeping other people in mind as the first and foremost thing in your organization, sales are going to suffer and things are going to decline. So it's very important. Basically, without people, you're not going to have any money, because computers don't give you money. People are the ones that choose to do business with you. So you always need to make sure to put them first. So those are my 3 core tenets. Quick run through on some stuff that BizTweaks does. So we do have a YouTube channel, so be sure to pop there, hit that subscribe button. I think there's one down below here. If not, there's probably a link to do that. We have a lot of great, just kind of self-contained help videos, as you can see here. And you can also subscribe to be reminded of these live webinars. We also have a podcast if you'd prefer to get this information via a, sorry, I'm just going to check the chat here real quick. All right. You can also get this via a podcast if you would prefer to listen while running or working out, doing whatever. And then we also have a Facebook discussion group where you can go and meet with other like-minded BizTweaks individuals and hopefully help each other out, because that's what this is all about. Now, one slide I do need to add here is basically why the name BizTweaks. And the reason I named this BizTweaks is not because... So I believe that most businesses have in them the abilities to succeed. I'm sure you've seen some of the dumbest business ideas that you thought would never get off the ground. Picking up dog poop is one of them. Thought they'd never get out of the ground, and here they are, with a lot of success. So I do believe that almost any business can succeed with a few tweaks, because the problem usually isn't the idea. The problem is usually the implementation and how it's being managed. Now, we are currently in the pandemic still. What's today? Today is April 9th. So April 9th, so we're still here in the thick of the coronavirus or COVID or whatever it's called. And you have to keep in mind that fear drives decisions in these kind of conditions. So as a realtor, I have noticed that the number of new listings has plummeted. People do not want to list their house during this. Also on the buyer side, people aren't wanting to start looking at houses. Now, the people that have been looking at houses, they're still kind of looking. There's a few people that have to move, either they're taking a new job or something like that. But honestly, even the people who are taking new jobs, a lot of them have had to put this on hold because their work is pausing any of these changes in employee moves. So, but even besides that, people just naturally during a time of crisis naturally just want to retract everything. They don't want to risk as much. They kind of cut spending. I know those of you that are in marketing, that that I'm sure most of your clients have probably cut billables and, are just like, hey, we're going to have to cut marketing for a while, which is unfortunate that most companies think of marketing as an expense, because it's not an expense. It's supposed to be an investment, which this video is not about. But suffice it to say, you should know, as a small business owner, you're not doing brand awareness. If you're spending money and you can't directly correlate that into money coming back in, then you really need to check your priorities. For almost every one of my marketing campaigns that I do, and I don't care if it's online or direct mail or whatever, for every marketing campaign that I do, I know how, to the cent, how much I spent on that campaign, and I know to the cent how much revenue that directly generated, that I can directly attribute to it. And basically what you want is, you want to know that spending $1 on marketing will return more than $1 in revenue back to you. If you can do that, then you're doing really, really well. So definitely it's a time to reevaluate. That kind of takes this. So one truth is that things always change. So take this time, try not to sit in the fear side too much, but do take the time to reevaluate your business, see what has been working and what has not been working. Whatever hasn't been working, cut it. And then also at the same time, look for new opportunities and ways to do things. I know that this period of time has really been cause for invention of a lot of novel concept and ideas for various businesses. And you really want to leverage that, because this is where you're going to find some unique value proposition that you're going to be able to take forward with you after this crisis is over, and it's going to help separate you out from the competition. So don't keep doing what you're doing. Always be looking to improve. That's the number 2 tenet. So always be looking to improve, and take whatever you're learning now that's working, and then take that forward with you. Now, I am putting together a online mastermind, and this is going to be it's going to be a relatively small, close-knit group of like-minded business owners, professionals, and things like that. Basically, the way it works is we all get on a Zoom call, and just like when I host an in-person meeting, we're going to go around. Everyone's going to have a chance to come up with a problem that they've run into that they would like solved, or maybe they would like some ideas on like new marketing, or how they should go about closing more sales, or new market strategies, or anything like that. So we go around, everyone has an opportunity to say what problem or issue they would like help with, and then everyone at the table basically tells that person how they have solved the problem, or connects them to someone who could provide them with assistance on that problem. It's a very, very powerful thing. And like I said, limited space. So if you would like to be a part of that, please send me an email. You can find my email and contact information in the description below. Kyle at BizTweaks.com. That'll get you over to me. And like I said, limited amount of space. So if you want in, be sure to let me know as soon as possible. So this is the challenge that I have for y'all today. Sorry, let me check. I know the I know it pops up my thing. I haven't quite figured out how to get that sorted out right yet. This is only the second or third BizTweaks online meeting I've done, so I'm still figuring it out. So my challenge for you is, I would like you to think about and tell me what headache you would like to solve in the next 30 days. Now, you don't have to solve it right now, because I'm going to go into today's presentation, which is basically going to be boosting efficiency in your business so you can do more with less, buy yourself more time, and make more money with less time, effort, and money. But I want you to have this in your mind as I'm going over the next part of this webinar, because you might not think about it now, but something I say is probably going to jog something in your mind with, oh, I could use this to do this part in my business, and then I won't have to worry about it because it'll be automated. It'll just sit there and it'll do its thing. So think about what headache you would like to solve in the next 30 days. And I really should have put a headache graphic there. I'll need to make notes to do that. So we want to get efficient. That is what we want our business to do. If you missed last week's webinar or Facebook Business Builders Live, if you missed the last Business Builders Live, go back, watch the part on the efficiency, because I literally lay out what sort of competitive advantage you can get by being efficient. It's going to allow you to use your limited resources more efficiently. I know it sounds boring, but it's so powerful once you actually put it in place. So let's just think of it as a car. So you only have limited resources. So let's just say you only have a limited amount of gas. You have 20 gallons of gas in a container. It's a pretty heavy container because 20 gallons is quite a bit of gas. Usually the biggest one you see is about 5 gallons, but let's just say 20 gallons. So you have 20 gallons of gas. And let's just say gas is money, as in this metaphor for your business. How far can you get on that 20 gallons of gas? Now, the answer is, well, it depends on the car, because fuel efficiency varies wildly. If you have a 1980 Dodge, conversion van, with a big old V8 in it and really bad, really bad exhaust and all that stuff, you're only going to get about 6 miles a gallon, and you're only going to be going about 4 miles down the road, or you're not going to be going down very far down the road. Whereas if you have a Prius and you can get 30 miles to the gallon, well, you're going to be going a whole lot further. And that's how you need to be thinking about your business. Your business is a money-making machine. And the cash and the money that you have on hand is the fuel that makes that machine turn. And you have to put some money into it in the marketing side. This is primarily marketing. Expenses also factor into this, because you do have to pay taxes and employees here and there, contractors, designers, etc. But you only have limited amount of gas or money, and you want to, whenever you put $1 in to your business machine, you want it to go as far down the road as humanly possible. So that is why efficiency is of the utmost importance. Now, to boost efficiency, this is something you should always be looking for. Always be looking for improvement. And there's 3 things you have to do to boost your efficiency, and that is identify an improvement, and one improvement. Do not try to improve 30 things at one time. It's going to be way too overwhelming. It's very rare that you have to completely redo the entire system. Pick one thing that is going to be an improvement, and then think it through. Think about the ramifications on it. Is it going to negatively affect something else down the road? Because it might be very beneficial, let's say, for an accountant to have some certain information on items shipped, but the way that you can implement that could negatively impact other parts of the business. So let's say you require the shipping guys to go there and do all, fill out all those forms and all that stuff. Well, that's going to slow down the shipping process, which is going to eventually negatively impact your customers and negatively impact the business, because you're spending more effort for not a lot of benefit. You're only benefiting one person there. So identifying the improvement in the scope of the larger organization. Then you want to test it. It has to be testable. It can't be something vague. It has to be testable. And then you have to measure the results. And when you test it, it needs to be enough of a time period that you can actually see and measure the impacts. There is a talk I'm going to give on measuring results, so be sure to subscribe so you can see that, because it's not as clear cut as just the number looks better. Like, there's a little bit more that goes into it than that. So be sure to subscribe so you can see that one. But measuring the results is critical. And then if the results plays out, or if some unforeseen consequence comes up, then by all means, just discard it. It's your business. So I had a friend of mine, and he runs a business with a good number of employees, and it's a state licensed business. So he has to keep up with continuing education certifications. So if you don't know, certain professions, real estate's the same way, healthcare a lot of times, most stuff is the same way. You have to basically go to a class or learn about the changes that have happened in your career, and that's called continuing education. Now, if you're a lot of times abbreviated as CE, or I'll just call it a certification. Now, if your certification expires, bad things can happen. So in real estate, if I don't do my continuing education, if I don't get my continuing education certification, then I am legally not allowed to conduct any real estate transaction or business from the day that my license expires. So it is critical that I make sure to get those hours done and to get that renewal before it comes due, which is actually in September. And it's something that I'm planning on doing while we are in this lull period here. So, like I said, his business, he has a number of professionals that have these CE requirements. Now, the problem he's running into is that the employees were continually forgetting about the certifications, when the expiration dates were, and then of course, they'd realize maybe 2 or 3 days beforehand. Well, a lot of times this stuff is not something that you can just take care of online in like 5 minutes. Like some of these things are like 10-hour courses, 20-hour courses that you have to go and completely redo this training and then be tested on it. So it's not something that you can just knock out in 5 minutes, while watching a YouTube video on another screen. So these people had to take time off and cancel shifts or change shifts, which causes a scheduling nightmare because there's requirements for coverage that these people have to be performing their duties. As the business owner, there was always an uneasy feeling that something was being missed, that something was going to happen this week or this month where somebody wasn't going to have it done. The state was going to come in and shut everything down, or big legal problems. The employees were stressed because, nobody likes being asked to work on a day that they weren't planning on working. Like, that sucks. And then the employees that didn't have the certifications, they were stressed because they were blindsided by this requirement as well, that this expiration date was coming up, and now they were planning on just going into work and doing, their normal duties, but now they have to go to this class and sit in there and do all that. And then in worst case scenarios, the owner was actually having to cover shifts, which is not good. The owner's responsibility should be managing and growing the business, and optimally handing that management part off to someone else so they can just focus on growing the business. But in this case, relatively small business, so he still does both. He does both the managing and the growing the business part. And so he had to stop both of those tasks and then cover shifts, which not optimal at the least. I'm going to let you in on a little secret here, because you're probably thinking about something that causes you pain or annoyance or headaches like this. And these pain points, not these specific pain points, but whenever you think about a problem in your business and you start hitting these pain points, that is basically the design document for the solution to your problem. So make sure to actually write those down so you can keep track of them. I know that you can remember everything in your head. You can't. Actually write it down. It makes things a lot better for everybody, because then you can actually give that to somebody for help. Just be like, hey, this is a list of things that I'm trying to solve. Maybe you can get some ideas. If you join that mastermind, it's very helpful to have an actual list that we can look through to help you out. Now, came up with some ideas to fix the problem with them, and just kind of went over them with the business owner. And Yeah, basically this is it. I mean, so we're like, oh, you could keep track of it in a notebook. You could track this in Excel. You could probably set something up in Outlook to keep track of all this stuff, since it has dates and scheduling things and stuff like that. HR management software will definitely take care of it. And personally, I know that there's something else. So of course, the something else is the hook that I'm going to keep you on this video with what the actual solution is. But it's a fun journey, and it's all about the journey, right? So first off, let's go with the notebook. So let's just say you take the employee names and you track their, whenever these certifications are expiring in there, or a folder, or anything like paper-based, basically like that. Well, the positive is it's better than nothing. It is absolutely better than trying to keep everything in your mind, or possibly worse, keeping it in your employees' minds. And when I say that, I don't mean that employees are dumb. I don't mean that employees don't care, because honestly, I don't believe that either of those are the case. But their focus and priorities are different. Their focus and priorities is on tasks and completing those tasks usually. And your job is to basically to clear everything else away from them, to enable them to complete those tasks that are actually revenue generating. So when these certifications expire and then all of that scheduling gets blown up, that is not very efficient, because you're having to take time out of your day to manage that and correct that. So you're not clearing the road for them to complete those tasks as efficiently as possible. Now, the negatives on the notebooks, well, first of all, you can lose it, which is not good. You can either lose it through carelessness. Maybe an employee will grab it to check to see when their certifications are up, and then they leave it on the desk or in the bathroom, or they throw it in the trash. Maybe the place burns down, and now you just have the filing cabinet magically catches fire, and now you have no record of anything and you have to go back and rebuild all of that manually. It's only good in possession. Only one person really can use a notebook or folder at once. Obviously, you want to. There's some cases where you want to control access, but in this case, I think you would want employees to be able to check this as much as possible. There's no reminders. You can't send an email out of a notebook. And when I say notebook, I mean an actual physical notebook. You can't send a text message based off of information inside of that. Everything has to be manually done. It's horrible. And notebooks, I still love notebooks, obviously. This is a very nice one. I actually did a video on this notebook because of how awesome that notebook is. It's in the YouTube channel. Be sure to check it out. But it is very old technology. It's not 1800 anymore. This isn't top of the line. Writing instruments and notebooks are not top of the line technology. We definitely have a better way to do it. So Excel. Definitely an improvement over notebooks. For one, it's shareable. You can do different access controls to keep track of that. So, if you don't want employees to see certain things, there's ways to manage that. The other nice thing about Excel is it's actually color codable. So since we're talking about dates and deadlines in this case, you can actually do conditional formatting in Excel so you could show, like, if this date is within 90 days, then turn it red. And then that way you can quickly see what certifications are coming due soon. Negatives. Again, no easy reminders. Now there's some ways to knock something together with Zapier and some of these other integration tools, but it's not easy and clear cut. And honestly, they're using those tools. They're kind of prone to breakages and unintended consequences. So you do that. They're very helpful, and I use them in my businesses a lot. But you have to be very careful with them. There's no error checking. If something gets accidentally changed in that Excel spreadsheet or deleted, and then that file saved, there's not an easy way, and sometimes there's not any way to revert that information back. And there's not a history of what's been changed or who's done what in there. Oh, I see. There's no easy. I see no reminders is in here twice, and that's because there is no reminders. And it's not 1990 anymore. There's a better option than an Excel spreadsheet. And for the record, I do remember using Lotus 123 and I forget the other text based spreadsheet back in the amber or green monitor days. Yeah, I am that old. So next up, we have Outlook. Positives on Outlook. It is shareable, which is a plus, and probably more shareable than Excel is. Definitely Microsoft tools as well, and honestly, this applies to Google Calendar as well. Definitely come a long way in access controls and making sure that certain people only see what you want them to see. It's also color codable, which is nice. And reminders definitely easy to do inside of Outlook. It's actually kind of what it does. Now the negatives, again, no error checking, which is not the best. It's a bit of a kludge. It's not really designed to manage this much information, especially in this case because there's a pretty big list of the certifications that were needed in this business. So it's not. It's kind of like forcing. It's trying to like screwing a drywall screw with a hammer. Like it's kind of doable sometimes, but definitely not the tool for the job. Mass updates are very difficult to do in Outlook. Again, there's ways to do it, but nothing ideal or optimal. And mostly it's still going to be manual entry. You're going to be hand typing everything. The other problem with that is when things change, then you have to go manually change all that stuff and find it. And personally, I find entry in Outlook a lot easier than changes in Outlook for whatever reason. Now, whoops, I got two. What's going on here? Outlook, there we go. So, HR management software. Now, nice thing about HR management software is this would pretty much do it all. This is literally what human resources is there for. So it will keep track of employee information, so security numbers, addresses. It should have some fields in there for certifications. You can type payroll in there, employee scheduling, all that stuff should be rolled up into an HR management software. It's great for it. Negatives, they're usually very expensive. It usually takes consulting fees to get them set up properly and efficiently in your business. And remember, most software tools, the money doesn't really come from the cost of the software. The cost comes from them charging you how to set this thing up in your business. And it's usually thousands and thousands of dollars. I know this says still manual entry here. Maybe some HR management software, you can do a mass import for some of these. But the main negatives on the HR management software is it's going to be expensive, consulting fees. If I had to add another negative, I would say that it doesn't really integrate very well with other pieces of software usually, unless you want to pay a bunch of consulting fees. Wow, I really should have went over these slides. So let's let's look at something else then. Let's find that one thing that would solve all of these problems with a little bit of effort and dedication. And as a business owner and professional, I know that you're okay with a little bit of work, and a little bit of dedication, because I know that's what it takes. So we want something that it's going to do it all. It's going to do the notifications. It's going to handle, it's going to be able to be mass updated. It's going to be able to integrate with other things. And that is going to be a CRM, or a customer relationship manager, or a client relationship manager, however you want to talk about it. And the good thing about a CRM, now when I say CRM, I know most people think that it's only useful for dealing with clients and business and managing those business relationships. We can really just cut the C for client and customer, and just it's a relationship manager. And you have a relationship with your employees. The relationship in this case is we need to know who they are, where they live, and then what all those certification dates are. And that's the relationship we need to manage with that employee and these certifications. It does do the notifications. It does do all the other stuff. And I'm going to run you through the setup that I did for them. Now, the CRM that I use is vTiger. There is a link to that in the description down below. You're welcome to go there, sign up for a trial. I am thinking about putting together a video series on how to do like initial startup and get everything spun up on vTiger. If that's something you think would be beneficial, please leave me a comment below. Let's look at what we did here. Now, one advantage that I always look for in software is customizability. So CRMs, I hate it whenever I go somewhere, some new software package or something, and with just a little tweak, it would be way more applicable to my business or what I'm trying to do. So I'm always looking for customization. So with vTiger, you can actually use custom modules and custom fields, which is stupendous. It'll also do automated email reminders. It'll do automated SMS or text message reminders. It'll do dashboard reminders, and then it's also able to do mass updates. And I did set all of this up. It only took me a few hours to set this up. And the great thing about this and efficiency is once this is set up, you don't really have to worry about it again. All you have to worry about is just keeping those dates updated as you hire a new employee or as somebody renews their certification. You just go in there and manually redo it. All of the reminder part and tracking part is handled automatically by the software. And the software is cheap. The most expensive version of it, which does everything under the sun, is it's like $45 per user per month. The plan that I used for this is about, I think it was $28 a month. And if you pay for the year, you can get it even cheaper than that. So for $28 a month, this solves that problem basically permanently for this business owner. So I'm going to show you some examples from the setup that I did. So this is the record for the employee. So we can see, James H here. He's the employee, and then that certification box there, that is the custom module that I set up for the certification. And you can basically see it's very straightforward. It's basically just a box with a list of all the certifications and the date that those certifications expire. Whenever those certifications, so whenever one of those certifications get within like 2 months of expiring, I know the auto insurance one says expired. This is just sample data that I put in there. So let's say that level 2 upper right there. So that's expiring 4/26/2020. Now, what the software does is you can set it up however you want it, but I have this set up to every other business day. It will check all of these certification fields, and if one is within 60 days of expiring, it will send out the reminder notifications. And this is what one of those notifications looks like. So here's the email. This is an automated email. It goes out automatically every other business day. As I said, you can set it up to go out every day if you want. You can set it up to run weekly or whatever schedule you want. And it's very simple, nothing fancy. So it gives the, can you see that? No. I think I think you can. So yeah, so it just says, this is the employee name, which again, sample data. So this is mine. Cost Assessor has a certification that will expire soon. And then here's, it's a list of the certifications with the date that they expire. Perfect, right? You don't need much more than that to be able to take action, solve the problem, and move on so you can actually make some money. This is an example of the automated SMS reminders or text messages. This is literally a screenshot from my phone. You can see up here that I did the initial, this is my initial testing to get that functionality set up just to make sure that that text message system was working. And then these are the reminder text messages that the certifications are expiring soon. And so you might be like, well, this doesn't say an exact what certification is. And a lot of times that's not the point. You can set it up to do that, but most of the time you don't have to get, the more finer grained you get like that, the longer it takes to set something up in this case, especially because we had so many certifications. I think there was like 20. I think there's like 20 certifications that we had to set. So the goal is mainly just to remind somebody that, hey, one of your certifications is expiring soon. Because honestly, personally, I think it's good to have people go review all of them, because just people notice things a little bit better than computers sometimes on that stuff. So the goal here was just to remind people. And then this is inside of vTiger. This is the front page of vTiger, and this is the dashboard that shows up every time you log into vTiger. If any employee has a certification expiring within the next 60 days or whatever, it will list their names here. And again, this is just example data. So yeah, it's great stuff. And then this is the mass import. So just an Excel spreadsheet. Obviously these are not the two sample datas that I did. Well, this is just literally like, there's nothing complicated about this. It's basically just putting in a system that is rapidly going to accomplish the goal. And this is going to save them so much money and stress and everything. So just put a little bit of thought into things, think through the problem, come up with some sort of potential solution. If you run into a roadblock, hit me up, because I'll be happy to help you out. Because I've probably solved a problem or a similar problem to it before. Now, these are the benefits of this new system here. So certifications are going to be renewed before it's a problem. So we're not going to wake up one day and the state's going to be there shutting everything down. That's definitely something we don't want to happen. We're not going to be losing any more time or shifts with, having to change schedules or shuffle things around because somebody forgot to get their renewals done. Certainty and peace of mind, both for the employees and the business owner, because they know that this is taken care of. Now you always have to keep an eye on. Always have to keep an eye open, because things do break, things stop working on occasion. So you do have to go, manually review things from time to time, but you're not having to do it every day or two, but once every 2 or 3 weeks, just kind of check it, make sure that everything's running okay, and you'll be good to go. Personal tip, if you whenever you have a system like this set up with automations and stuff like that, put yourself in there as a test account, so you can make sure that the notifications are still being sent properly, that the emails are being sent properly, and you can change and input those dates without actually affecting live data. So in this case, James, he does need to maintain his certifications because he is required to by the state to. So I wouldn't want to go in and test his information. I want to change his dates, but I would put another record in there and just name it test record. But for the contact information, email and phone number, I would put my personal information in there and then change the dates on the certifications so that the next time that automation runs, it should send out the text message, it should send out the email, and it should show up on that dashboard so we can double check and make sure that everything's running okay. This also provides employee clarity. The employees are very clear on what's coming up and what's due. And they have peace of mind knowing that the back office management has, they're not going to get a call in the middle of the night saying, oh my God, you can't come into work tomorrow. You have to go to this class for 20 hours. So the employees are going to have a little bit more faith in the company that it's being run well. And that's plus. Morale is something that is hard to put a number on, but it is critical. And it also frees up the business owner or the professional to grow the business, to actually focus on the important parts, which is growing revenues and coming up with the new things that are going to bring more money into the business. Now, one thing people always kind of drag their heels on with this is like, well, I don't want to spend a lot of time on trying to come up with something like this. So this graphic, this is from XKCD, I think is the name of it. It's a webcomic online, kind of nerd comic, I guess you could say. But this is basically the break even for when you should automate something. So basically, like if you do a task daily, if you can figure out how to save 5 minutes, you could work 6 days on that across 5 years to hit that break even point. If you do something weekly and you could figure out how to save 1 second on that, you would be able to spend 4 minutes over 5 years to figure out how to keep that savings to hit that break-even point. Now, the goal, of course, is to do more than this. But this is kind of a good reference to be like, is this improvement or headache worth solving? And if you want this, just leave me a comment below, and I'll put up a link to it. So again, let me check, see if we have any comments here. No. So again, what sort of headache, what sort of challenge like that, what thing in your business do you think could benefit from being solved in the next 30 days? What's something that just maybe it derails the business or causes you to lose focus on what actually comes and generates money? Maybe it's an automated email campaign. Maybe you're tired of having to manually enter everybody's email address. Maybe you're tired of having to manually dial everybody's phone number. If you're manually doing anything, that is a very, very, very strong candidate for efficiencies and improvements. And please reach out to me and give me that comment so that I can help you be a lot more efficient in your business. So if you actually do need help, I do provide consultation services. We do have that mastermind coming up as well, which I have another slide on that coming up. But if you need help, leave me a comment, reach out to me via the contact information in the description. I'll be happy to see what I can do to help. Sometimes that might work out to consultancy or something like that. Sometimes I could just point you in the right direction. But we can definitely do that discovery call right up front and get that figured out. I do have the Mastermind Trial coming up. So if you are intrigued by the idea of a mastermind, by being part of a group of other business owners and professionals, professional marketers, professional sales coaches, all manner of people from a good slice of life that are I'm actually kind of strict on who I let into this. So you don't have to have $1 million or $1 billion business. That's not the threshold. But I do need people that are going to take it seriously and who really want to take the opportunity to improve their business. So if that sounds like you, please, again, just hit me up via that contact information, that contact link below, or shoot me an email, kyle@biztweaks.com. And basically, I'll give you the information on how to get into that trial. So that basically wraps up. Make sure. Yep. So that wraps up the. Oh, I can see my email information is wrong there. Well, so that wraps up the this week's Business Builders Meetup. Thank you so much for coming along. I'll make this a little bit larger. Let's try it over there. There we go. So thank you so much for coming by this week to not St. Pete Business Builders, but Business Builders Live. I appreciate you for taking the time to watch this video. Hope you found something useful in it. If that presentation today, if that sparks some ideas or something, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Leave me a comment, send me an email address. I promise I have, it's not that I have time, because I'm definitely working on my own business and following up with clients and things like that. But I'm happy to take the time to try to help you out as well. So thank you so much for tuning in. My name's Kyle Sasser. This is BizTweaks, and I'll talk to you soon.